Okay, so I don't see any responses yet, so I'm going to recheck. If you're able to hear us clearly, or if you're able to hear me clearly, please say a quick yes in the chat window. Okay, I see some responses coming into the Q&A window. I think the chat function is closed so far. Now it's open. Yes, great. I see the responses coming in over there as well. Great. Thank you. Thank you for coming in on time. It's great to be hosting you, and it's great to see your punctuality. We are still going to wait for a few seconds before everyone can connect. I see the audience coming in. We are close to 150 attendees in this room right now, so huge interest in this topic, and we are expecting hundreds more to come in as well. In the meanwhile, while others join, please let us know the city you're dialing in from. So those of you who are already in this room, let us know the city you're dialing in from. Just put it in the chat window. It would be great to see where the audience is coming from. So I see Noida, Mumbai, Belgaum, Hyderabad, Vapi. Okay, this is going really fast. I saw someone from Nigeria. I saw someone from Bangalore. Okay, I'm seeing people from Nellore, Bangalore, Nainital. So I see Divya from Lucknow. I see Aman from Ernakulam. I saw Purna from Nagpur. I saw Jeremiah from Nigeria. I saw someone from Nigeria. Great. So basically, audience is all over across the country and outside of the country as well. We do have a team based out of Africa now. So I do see some people coming in from Nigeria, Ghana, and Kenya as well in this session. Great. With that, let me kickstart this session. Let me welcome everyone and introduce myself. My name is Sanjay Dhingra. I'm a co-founder and director at Seed Global Education Limited. We are a UK headquartered company working in the higher education space, connecting top candidates or top audiences like you with top tier business schools like Brandeis, who is one of our guests, who's our guest in today's session. We work with universities across North America, Europe, and Asia, and do outreach, promotions, and connections for them across Asia, Middle East, and Africa. So as I said, connecting these schools, connecting universities in one part of the world to candidates in the emerging markets of India, Asia, Middle East, and Africa. Today's session is extremely insightful, extremely interesting. It's on insider insights, basically making about you're applying to B school. So what you can do if you're looking to apply to a B school this year or next year, what insights or what information would be handy to you is what we are going to discuss in today's session. Our guest today is Kristen Shambo, who is the Senior Associate Director of Admissions at Brandeis International Business School. She is a member of the admissions committee at Brandeis and is responsible for recruiting, interviewing, evaluating, enrolling MBA, MSBA, which is their Master of Science in Business Analytics, and MSF applicants, which is their Master of Science in Finance applicants as well. Prior to Brandeis, Kristen has worked with Tufts University and spent 12 years working at Boston College as well, most recently as the Associate Director in the Office of Graduate Management Admissions. Kristen received her bachelor's degree from Stonehill College and her MBA from Boston College in the United States. Before I hand over the audience, or I hand over you to Kristen and let her tell you about what an admissions committee member looks for in an applicant applying to B school, let me run our first poll for the evening, which you see live on your screen right now. This poll question is about the insights you're expecting from this session. So my assumption is a lot of you are looking to apply to B schools this year or next year. Through this response, let us know what insights you're looking for from an admissions committee member. So are you looking for information around parameters that you can use to select your dream B school? Are you looking for information about why you should be applying to Brandeis International Business School? Are you looking for information around writing B school application essays, SOPs? Are you looking for information around scholarship opportunities and your chances of getting a scholarship? Do you want to understand about the career prospects post pursuing a business master's in the USA? Are you looking for information on admission criteria and how to make a standard application or anything else? It's a multi-choice question, so you can select as many options as you want. Please do let us know what insights are you expecting from this particular session. Great. I have around 110 responses. Okay, 120 responses coming now. I'm going to keep this open for another 10 or 15 seconds. So if you haven't yet responded, please do. Please let us know the areas of information that you're looking for from this particular session. You're going to be interacting with an admissions committee member, person who evaluates hundreds and thousands of applicants like yourself who apply to top tier B schools. So please, through this response, let us know the insights you're looking for from this particular session. All right. I have close to 140 responses. With that, I'm going to end this poll and quickly share the results on the screen now. So, okay, so maximum responses are for scholarship opportunities. People want to know how they can get a scholarship, as Indian and other applicants from emerging markets studying abroad, studying in the rest of the world is extremely expensive. So they are looking for insights on how to get a scholarship. So that's one parameter for sure. The next highest voted parameter is around selecting the dream B school. So what should a candidate look for while selecting a B school? The third parameter is around admission criteria and how to make a standout application. I think it's also about this again links to getting an admission offer and of course a scholarship as well if possible. And then parameters around writing B school application essays, career prospects poster, business masters in the US, and so on and so forth. With that, let me hand over the audience to Christine. Christine, over to you. The audience is really looking forward to insights from an admissions committee member. This is their chance to interact with one. So over to you and looking forward to those insights.
Hi, thank you so much, Sanjay. And thank you all of you for joining today. I'm happy to be here. And as you've heard, I've spent most of my career in higher education, and I'm happy to share my knowledge with you today because that's why I love higher education. That's why I do it. Your success is my success. So hopefully I'll be able to share some of my insight with you today. So let me just take a moment and share my screen. All right. Everybody see that? Pop a note in the chat.
Yep.
Raise your hand. Okay, great.
Yep.
All right. So let's get started today. And that poll was fantastic because I'm going to touch on all of those things that you were looking to hear about. So it'll be great. I'm first going to start with some key factors to look for when considering a graduate degree. I know it can be oftentimes an overwhelming process for those of you who are just starting. Stay calm. Don't worry. I'll help walk you through it. I know one of the toughest things is differentiating between all the different programs, the curriculum, trying to sort out how does the school stand out and what is the best fit for you. And then after that, I'm going to provide you with some of those tips on how to present the strongest application for admission and then also for scholarship consideration. So if you have questions as I go along, feel free to put those in the chat. I'll touch on some of them as we're going through the presentation, and then there'll be plenty of time at the end for your questions. All right, so when I ask students why you're looking for a graduate degree, right? If I asked many of you today, you would probably say that it may be for a career transition, okay? For those of you who are already in the workforce, maybe you want to make a change. For those of you who are not yet working or have just started, maybe you're looking for that career advancement, right? So a lot of this is based on your career, reaching your goals, and then of course that financial gain that will come with an advanced degree. Other students will often say, they want to learn new skills, they want to create a stronger network. So some of these things are, behind your decision to pursue an advanced degree. So what do you look for, all right? One of the first things that I recommend is looking at the different curriculum and faculty who are teaching the programs at your different schools, okay? Focus on the faculty, focus on the curriculum. It's one way to help sort of differentiate between the programs. And we'll look a little deeper into that as we go to the next slide. But, do you have the ability to pick your own courses? Can you take electives, or do these schools have a set curriculum that you have to take regardless of your career goals? All right. Who are teaching the courses? That's important because they're going to be your network going forward. They're going to be your mentors. So you want to know who's teaching the classes. Again, careers. You want to know, am I going to get that return on my investment? Are you going to be able to have the resources to help find placement? So focusing on career resources and career placement at schools is another helpful area. Location. Okay, location might be a very important factor for you, and it might help narrow down a lot of schools. So that's a consideration that you're going to look at. Do you want to be in the United States? Do you want to be outside the United States? There's so many opportunities. And so some students will start and focus on location. Next, you want to look at community, right? Again, this body of students, the faculty, the staff at a school are going to be your network moving forward. Right? Once you've gone to a school, you're an alum for life. So you want to make sure that this is the right fit for you. And then last, but certainly not least, is the cost. Unfortunately, graduate degrees are expensive. And so that might be a prohibitor for some students. Some schools may just be overpriced for you. Some schools offer scholarships, some do not. So what is the process for all of that? So cost is a really important consideration that we'll touch on as well. All right, so let's get started with that curriculum and which program is the right fit. So some of you here today might already know that you want to pursue a traditional MBA. You want that well-rounded degree that offers you breadth and depth. Some of you might say, I don't want that. I want a shorter program that's a more specialized master. So how do you make that decision for those of you that are struggling between the two options? Again, look at your career goals and then work backwards from there. Okay, what is the curriculum that the schools are offering? As I mentioned earlier, are you able to select some of that, or is it a set curriculum? Do the programs offer different concentrations? That might be a nice area for you to gain more depth, regardless of whether you're in an MBA or a specialized master. Okay. You also want to consider the length of a program, right? For some of you, 12 months might sound great, right? A shorter program means less cost, less expensive, but you have to think about, does that give you enough time to participate in experiential learning, to pursue an internship, to really put your skills into practice? So you want to look at the different lengths of time. 12 months might be too short, but 2 years might be too long. So what is the right fit for you? I will tell you that the nice thing about programs is, you want to get that academic piece, of course, you want to gain new skills, you want to be successful, but you also want to participate in absolutely as much as you can inside and outside of the classroom to make the most of your degree. So at Brandeis, we offer a nice set of different programs. We first have a Master of Arts in International Economics and Finance, and that is a 2-year program. And that was a program that was designed around their strengths in business, economics, and finance. And the nice thing about this program is it does offer concentrations. So you're able to actually pursue your interests a little bit deeper. So data analytics is one of the areas, economic analysis and consulting, financial economics, marketing, and then real estate finance. For an MBA, we also have a traditional 2-year MBA program. And that's for those of you who really want to lead organizations, right? So you're going to learn those hard skills. If you don't have them in your background, you're going to have finance, you're going to have accounting, but you're also going to have the marketing and the organizational behavior so that you have all of those skills that you're able to lead an organization to success. What's unique about our MBA program is you do also have the ability to do a concentration, which is nice. So if you have a passion for marketing, that's one of our areas of concentration. Real estate is a unique one. Most schools, especially in the Boston area, do not have a real estate concentration in their MBA program. Strategy and innovation is another one. And then we also have 2 STEM designated concentrations, data analytics and finance. So we'll talk more about that later, but the STEM designation is really nice because it offers opportunities for all of you. We also have a Master of Science in Business Analytics program, which is a 12 or 16-month program. So it's nice. The nice thing about that too is you do not have to decide prior to applying to a program. If you are admitted, you would enroll, meet with your career counselor, meet with your academic advisor, spend some time in class, and then decide if you want the 12 or the 16-month length. So it's nice. It's a more customizable program length for you. And that program, the MSBA, is ideal for those looking to transform data into actionable insights, right? So for global firms. So you're not just running the numbers and doing the computing, you're actually talking through strategy and implementation. So again, it's a nice program that's more specialized, but it gives you really nice hard skills. We also have a Master of Science in Finance, and that's a 16-month program. And that, of course, is for candidates looking to start or propel their career in finance. That program also offers concentrations, corporate finance and valuation, asset management, risk management, and then the very popular fintech. For Brandeis, again, it's a small school. It's a larger university, but we have small programs. And that's done by design so that you get a more personalized approach to your learning. And one way they do that is offering all of these different dual degrees. So if the MA program doesn't satisfy your career goals, you could do an MA with the MSBA or an MSBA with the MBA. So you have a lot of great options to really help you stand out in that job search. It's competitive, right? And you're trying to make your resume different than everybody else's. So you do have these options to pursue dual degrees. And again, that's not something you have to know at this time. If you look into the programs and you decide, oh, I definitely want to do a dual degree, you can apply for a dual degree, during the application process. If not, you could apply to a single degree, and then as a current student, decide you want to add on a dual degree. And for those of you who know you want to work in academia or consulting or for the government, you might want to consider a PhD in international economics and finance. That is a program that's traditionally about 5 years. All right, so with our programs at Brandeis, what we offer for our students is a nice analytical advantage. You're prepared for careers in business, finance, data, economics, marketing, and real estate. And on campus in our International Business School, we have a Bloomberg Business and Economics Lab. It offers that nice exposure to software, financial, regulatory, and market databases. And there's lots of workshops and tutorials. So for those of you who don't have experience in those areas, you would get it. You would also have the ability to prepare for different professional certifications. So if you know you want to study for the CFA or the FRM or the CAIA, our finance program prepares students for that. We are a partner program with the CFA and the Global Association of Risk Professionals. So that means 70% of our curriculum is designed around you studying for these exams. Our pass rate is fantastic. And again, if that's another credential you'd like to add to your resume to help you stand out, our programs do prepare you for that. And as I mentioned in the last slide, STEM designation. It's great. International students can qualify for up to 36 months of OPT. So all of our programs, including the MBA, offer our students the ability to qualify for this. And again, it's just great extension of spending time to be able to participate in additional internships, in some gaining different work experience for you to, again, get your foot in the door with organizations and help propel your career. If I'm going too fast, please tell me. All right. One of the last things about our curriculum is that we offer experiential learning. And that's something you want to look for at any school that you're researching because, right, you want to learn, of course, the technical skills, and you're going to have, of course, some lecture and some courses where, it's not as much hands-on. But for most of us, we learn by doing. So you want to have that mix of both, lecture and theory, but also the practical applications or that experiential learning. So at Brandeis, we offer industry treks, and that is just where our students are able to visit different companies, engage with alumni, engage with the business leaders. And we do a lot of those throughout the academic year. And they can be local. Of course, we have a nice network in Boston, so we'll go in to the city, spend the day touring some companies, meeting with alums, really seeing how they do business, looking at their organization. We may also go to New York. And then we also do treks that are on the West Coast to San Francisco, Seattle. So we visit Silicon Valley and again, see how business is done there, meet with alumni. And there may even be options for international treks. We've done them in the past in Hong Kong and other areas as well. In a post-COVID world, we are seeing that some of these treks have been virtual, but the fact that you're still able to sort of get an insider's view of different organizations may help you with your career search. But again, you're also meeting with other people. You're meeting with part of the Brandeis network, and you're engaging with them. Again, hopefully putting your best foot forward, making an impression. And so, if they have a job opening later on, they've met with you, they know your career goals, they were impressed. Again, they're going to keep that your name handy and hopefully connect with you in the future. We also, again, offer internships for all of our programs. And that is a great way to practice what you've been learning in the classroom, right? The internship, in my opinion, is vital. It really helps get your foot in the door. It helps, again, add to your resume and your qualifications so that future employers who, when you're looking for full-time placement, they're going to be impressed by what you did during an internship. So, and your internship, if you fall in love with something, it may be your full-time career, right? So if you go and join an organization, they're impressed, this may be, your opportunity. So we have both domestic and international opportunities for students. And it's just, a great way to finally say, okay, I've been sitting in the classroom, I've been learning data analytics, business analytics, or finance, and here's my chance to show you what I can do. So that internship is crucial. We also offer field projects. And what that is, it's like consulting for real companies and solving real world problems. So you're going to collaborate with different companies, faculty. You're going to be on a diverse team with students from all different programs in their business school. So it's a great way, again, to extend your meeting with different students, get to know them, get to network. But again, you're actually putting into practice what you've learned. You're impressing that company, again, really making an impression so that they remember you going forward. One thing we also offer that's not in here today is we have what's called the Hassenfeld Immersion program. And this is a competitive application process for it. Students are really excited. And what it is you do a half semester course about where a country that you're going to actually be traveling to. So it may be China, it may be Israel, but you're learning about how they do business, what are some of their challenges, then how economics and finance plays into that. So you learn about the culture, you learn about the business, and then you actually go to China or Israel or some other places. You learn, you meet with companies, you meet with alums, you get tours of their operations. But again, there's also time for sightseeing and fun on the side, but it's a great exposure to another country and how they do business. All right, the last slide on the faculty and curriculum piece. So again, I think our faculty at Brandeis are sort of a well-kept secret. They're modest, but we have some fantastic faculty who have worked in industry. Some have just been an academic, but it's a nice mix, but they have strong backgrounds. They've gone to fantastic schools. They're a wealth of knowledge. And so it's nice to know, you see MIT and Harvard, Yale, other schools here. They're your mentors. You're going to be learning from some top faculty who have so much to give. And those will be your mentors, not just during your time in the program, but again, maintaining that relationship. You're an alum for a lot longer than you are a student. So they're here, they're very accessible. As I mentioned, we keep our programs small so that you get personalized attention from everybody. But these are your faculty. So when you're looking at a school, do your research. You want to know who's teaching you. Are they full faculty? Are they full professors? Or are they adjuncts? How long have they been teaching? How long have they been at that institution? It's good to know because you don't want to come into a program where there's a lot of transition or it's all adjunct faculty. You want a nice mix of both, again, industry experience as well as theory and practice in academia. All right, let's jump to careers, right? This is the reason you're pursuing an advanced degree. So looking at the schools, you want to know what type of resources that they offer you. So at Brandeis, we have a highly personalized counseling program. So every student who enters a program, you have your own specific career coach, and it's by program. So they know if you are entering the finance program, they have worked in finance. They know the employers. They know what our students are looking for. They know our curriculum. They know what skills you're going to gain and what we can offer to future employers. So you have both an individual career coach as well as an academic advisor. So again, if they're there for you as a resource. Now, let me say, any school, they're not just going to hand you the job, right? What you need to do is you need to take advantage of the resources they have. So meet with that advisor. They're there for you. Tell them your goals. Each individual has different goals. So, if you're interested in the MSBA program, tell them what you want to do after the degree. They're going to work with you on your individual career objectives instead of trying to say, okay, this is the typical path that our students take. You don't have to have a typical path, okay? But you want to take advantage of all the resources. So for us, that process begins really early. If you are admitted to our program before you even step foot on campus, they're working with you to reformat your resume into the Brandeis format. They're out there sharing your resume and your expertise. So they start working for you immediately. They're also going to help you hone your job seeking skills. Interviewing in the United States is a little bit different than some other countries. So they're going to work on interview prep, resume referrals. So it's how do you make your resume stand out when often the career search is computerized nowadays, right? And they're looking for keywords. You want to make sure your resume gets in front of the right people and that's read. So they're going to work with you on all of these different things. We also have executives in residence. So we have alums and other supporters of Brandeis that have worked in industry that are going to rotate throughout the semester and be there for you. Whether you just want to learn about their industry, learn about their background, their knowledge, how they got to be where they are today. So it's nice to, again, have additional mentors throughout this process. We also offer different events, workshops, industry panel discussions, on-campus recruiting. That's a big thing that you're going to want to see what schools are offering. What type of on-campus recruiting do they have? What employers are coming and looking for their students? What jobs are available? Are they doing company visits, career fairs? Nice thing again with our smaller program is that we even can help pay for attendance at different conferences that may help you, again, network with the right people and land different opportunities. So these are just some of the resources that we offer, but that's something you want to look for at any school. And for us, again, this is not an exhaustive list. It's just a few of the places of employment that our students have gone post Brandeis. So you may recognize a few of the great companies. Our students have been very successful. The placement rate has been anywhere from about 93% up to 97% placement within 6 months of graduation. So, we continue to improve that every single year, but our students have been very successful. And again, they've worked hard to get there, right? Jobs aren't just handed to you, unfortunately, but we're going to work with you every step of the way. And as an alum, if something happens later on, like I said, you're connected to Brandeis for life. So you can come on back, meet with the career coaches again. They'll help you with everything from salary negotiation to ways to help prepare to position yourself for maybe career advancement within your company. They're there as a resource for you forever. So again, you can see some of the nice companies, but you definitely want to look at the placement rates, no matter which school you're looking at. Okay, mention location. And for many of you, that is going to be maybe a big factor that you even look at first to help narrow down those schools. So where do you want to be? Do you want to be in the United States or do you want to be outside? Do you want a small university or a large one? It's going to matter. When I was looking at undergrad programs, I wanted a small community. I was intimidated by some of the larger universities that I explored. I was a lot quieter then, and then when I went for my MBA, a larger university was fine. I wasn't intimidated anymore. I was ready. But you want to look at these different things because no matter the setting, you may be one small building on a large campus, or you may be the entire campus. So want to look at large or small, where you're going to feel the most comfortable is the best fit for you, right? Is it an urban or a rural setting? Okay. And then you want to consider weather. If you want to be in the Boston area, you have to consider that there are going to be 4 seasons. Maybe you never want to experience snow, so you may not want to look at Brandeis. But for those of you who want to experience it, we do get snow in the winter. So weather is actually something you want to consider as well. some areas on the West Coast are a lot rainy or a lot sunnier, and they only have hot climates. So, that's certainly a consideration. The other thing you want to think about is transportation. Some universities have housing on campus, some have it outside in apartments. At Brandeis, our housing is all near campus. So there's a lot of great apartments available for students so that they're close enough that they feel a part of the university, but you're not in a dorm like you were for undergrad. But that transportation, we have a train right outside our campus, bring you right into Boston, bring you all around the city. So, these are things to consider. Will you have a car on campus? Can you get around without one? What type of infrastructure do they have? So those are some of the questions that should be going through your mind as you're looking at the different schools. All right, for us, I hinted at our location, many of you might be aware, but we're located in Waltham, Massachusetts, which is just about 10 miles outside of Boston. So for us, I feel like we have the best of both worlds because we have Boston right there, which is an amazing city in my mind. There's a lot to do, but Waltham is its great own city right outside. So you have parking on campus. You have parking at your apartments. You're not fighting for that spot and digging it out in the snow for someone else to take it later on. So you have two vibrant cities that are both centers for financial services, consulting industries. For those of you who know Boston, we have a lot of great hospitals. So healthcare is big out here. A lot of entrepreneurial activity, high tech, great organizations. In Waltham alone, Raytheon, National Grid, and Thermo Fisher Scientific have their headquarters right in Waltham. The other great thing I think about Boston area is we have a lot of great universities, right? So you're surrounded by, a diverse population with great education opportunities. If there's a course at Brandeis that you're interested in, or there's a course that you're interested in, but Brandeis might not offer it, you have the ability to cross-register at another university like Boston College or Boston University or Tufts. So that's a nice resource for all of our students. The other thing is, with all the employment opportunities, we have very nice active alumni networks, great professional associations. And then for those of you who are interested in the different social activities and cultural offerings, we have everything from art museums, theater, to sporting events. For my sports fans out there, the Boston Red Sox, although they're not doing very well this year, we have the New England Patriots, the Boston Bruins, the Boston Celtics. So there's a lot to see and do at any time. And then Waltham itself, if you don't want to be in Boston, there's what's called Moody Street. It's a great sort of center of town and has a really diverse plethora of shops and restaurants, bars, so fun things to do. And that is sort of the center of Waltham. All right, let's shift to community. All right, as I mentioned, when you're going into a program, this is your community for 12 months up to a year. And beyond as an alum. So you want to make sure it feels right because, as I mentioned, you want to also get involved in your community outside the classroom. You don't want it to be a detriment to your academics, right? You're there to learn, but you're also there to, again, really develop strong relationships with your classmates, with the faculty, with the staff. So the nice thing about Brandeis is it's an inclusive campus environment. As you'll see from the quote here, it feels like a family to the students. And being small, you get to know everybody, all right? So it's good or bad, but there's no hiding. Everybody knows your name. And you feel as though you're a part of something bigger, which is nice. We have everything on campus, from social events, the Global Gala. We have clubs you can get involved with, everything from a consulting club, a data analytics club, or something like our student body government, where you help run a lot of the programs and activities for the school. So there's lots of ways to get involved, and I really urge you to do that, no matter the school, because the more you get out of your program, the stronger connection you're going to make, the more people you're going to meet, and the more you can put on your resume to impress employers, right? So again, if you're leading a club, you can show that you've had, you hosted executives. on campus, you've put on a nice panel. Again, it's a great opportunity and it's a win-win for both the school and you. So one thing that Brandeis does offer, which I think is very nice for new students, is we have a program called Leadership Fellows. And that is a group of second-year students who help with the academic, cultural, and social adjustment to our school. They're your peer mentors, but they're a great resource. So they're here to help you, get connected, get adjusted. It's a big transition, right? Coming to the United States and coming to a new school. So they're there for you as mentors throughout your entire time on campus. And so that's something to know that, again, there are groups of people who are here to help you and make that transition a lot easier. So look for a strong, close-knit community. For me, I think that's a strength in any program that you're going to consider. And how do you know that? It's hard to tell from sorting through websites and talking to admissions professionals. So my advice, talk to current students, talk to alumni, see how they felt on campus. Was it an inclusive environment? Did they feel like they were a part of something? Ask about their experience, whether they were in the same program or not. It's just, what was their perception of the school? How did they feel during their time there? You'll get a lot out from talking to current and former students, because as much as I can tell you about a school and my love for it, they're the ones that have experienced and lived what you're going to go through. All right. Cost. So again, this is the tuition for the different programs at Brandeis. As you know, unfortunately, graduate degrees are expensive. So it's certainly something that you want to look at between the different programs. What are the costs? And then how can you stand out in that application process? Some schools offer scholarships, some do not. So you're going to want to look and see, what types of scholarships are you eligible for? How much do they cover? Are they for 1 year in the program? Are they renewable based on your performance in the program? So there's a lot of things that you want to consider. And so when I get to the next session, when we talk about application tips and standing out, we'll talk about how to stand out in that scholarship process as well. The good thing about Brandeis is there's no separate application for scholarships. Again, that's different for each school. So you're going to want to look at that. Some require a new essay, or some require, short answer questions. Some are available to only international or domestic, or vice versa. So for us, the good thing is you don't have to apply for anything. If you apply for our programs, you're automatically considered for scholarships. You don't even have to go through our nice list of scholarships and say, this is the one that is applicable to me. We will do that for you. So we look as we're considering you for admission, and we're going to say, all right, this person is fantastic. I think they, deserve a scholarship, and we're going to award that at the time of admission. So there's nothing extra you need to do for us. So that's a really great thing. But again, that does vary by school. So you're going to want to look at that. All right, Sanjay, do we have anything that we want to answer before I get into application process, or not? I'll keep going.
Christine, I would say keep going. There are lots of questions come in. I'm afraid if we get into the questions now, we'll be just answering the questions. So let's finish this, and then I have the selected questions ready for you.
Perfect. All right. All right, everyone, let's keep going through. So here's what you've been waiting for, right? So that application process and how to stand out. So for most schools, this is typically your application requirements. So for us, it's an online application. Some schools are part of a common application where you can apply to several at once. Some, they have their own particular applications. So again, that differs. But then for most schools, you do have to submit all of your transcripts from all of the universities you attended. So, for us, they do not have to be official at this time. We only require official transcripts after you've been offered admission and before you enroll. So for us, you can do unofficial transcripts, but try to remember to include everything. If you took non-degree courses at a separate institution, send those in. If you studied abroad and those grades are not on your transcript, send that in. There's nothing worse than applying and then having an incomplete application, right? Because you went through all that effort, you want your application read and reviewed. So make sure you include all of that. Standardized testing. Now, COVID has changed some testing for our students. So right now, for this year, Brandeis is still test optional. So what that means is it's up to you on whether you take the GMAT or the GRE and submit that for our master's programs. The GRE is required for our PhD, but for our other programs, again, it's optional. We do require the TOEFL or the IELTS or Duolingo or PTE if it's applicable to you. If you've not studied in the United States, you will typically need one of those exams. We do have you submit a resume. So again, we'll get into what that looks like, but we want to have your professional experiences, your academic background on there. We do require one essay. And then for us, we have a video essay. We'll get to that as well. Not all schools do, but some of them do. And for us, that's typically done in place of a formal interview. And then we also require letters of recommendation. So again, that's something you can start thinking about early, pinpointing who you think might be best asked to offer a letter of recommendation. All right, now how to make you stand out. So let's go back to that submitting your transcript and looking at your academics. So of course, we want to look for academic excellence, right? For us, the average GPA for our students is around, for admitted students is around a 3.5. Okay, the stronger, the better, right? If you've performed well in undergrad, you have nothing to worry about, right? But when we look at your transcripts, we're going to look at how challenging was the coursework? What was the reputation of the university? What were the rigor of your courses? Did you perform differently in your major courses than you did elective courses? What was that major? Do you have a quantitative background? And did you fulfill the prerequisites for our programs? So these are all the questions that are going through our mind when we start reviewing your transcripts, okay? So again, if you performed well in undergrad or your grad degrees, again, you can rest easy because we look for students who've been successful in the classroom, right? We look for that because we want you to be successful in our classroom. We don't want to do anyone a disservice by admitting someone who might not be academically prepared. We don't want people to fail. So again, the stronger your academics, the better you're going to be for admissions and scholarships, placements. Now, for those of you who may be thinking, okay, maybe I had a rough start to my undergrad. Maybe I didn't perform well in a few courses. You may have had some personal issues affecting you at that time. So what do you do? Because you can't go back. You can't, unfortunately, redo your academic experience. So you just have to move forward. So if you have a weakness in your academics, I would suggest a couple things. So you could take additional courses. If you didn't perform as well in your undergrad, but you already have another master's degree and you perform well, great. That will help offset the weakness in your undergrad. If you maybe struggled in one particular course that was just never going to be something that you excel in, maybe you took a few additional courses after you graduated to help show that, all right, that one stats course, I struggled, but now I've mastered that course. Submit additional courses, take some Coursera courses or edX courses if you think that will help you prepare for any of your future graduate degrees. The other thing you can do is sit and take that GRE or that GMAT, right? It is optional, but if you know you're a strong test taker and you think you can help offset a weaker academic background, I would absolutely recommend taking the GRE or the GMAT. If you don't have a strong quantitative background, then I would also recommend you sit and take the GRE or the GMAT. Again, it's going to help it's going to help relieve our worries that you may struggle in our courses. If you have a little bit of a weaker academics, but you have a very strong GRE or GMAT, we're going to say, okay, they have grown, they've progressed, we can see that they can do the work, and we're going to feel better about that decision. So that's when I would recommend taking the GRE or the GMAT. So now let's look at essays. When you're crafting essays for an application, make sure you're answering the question asked, right? It sounds really easy, but I know it's a hard process. I know you're filling out multiple applications, and you don't want to write a new essay for each and every one. But In some cases, you may have to, right? If the questions are not the same or they're not similar enough, answer the question, write a new essay, okay? Because it's your chance to show us who you are. It's use your authentic voice. We want to know you and we want you to stand out on paper, right? So it's a different way for us to get to know you beyond what we see in the rest of your application materials. So, and don't copy. I know there's a lot of sample essays out there. You know, we have things that we look at and can tell if people are copying from sample essays on the internet. So don't do that. It will hurt your chances. So be authentic, be yourself. These are your career goals. So in your path. So why do you know you want to pursue this degree? You know, what about the school interests you? You know, here's where you can add depth to your essay by adding stories or examples of when you knew you wanted to pursue an MBA. What was that moment in time that put you on this path? The other thing is where I've talked a lot before about community and getting to know the students. If you're meeting with you're meeting with current students or members of the admissions team at schools before you're writing your essays, which you should do, you know, from what they tell you, use some of that in your essay. You can talk about how when you talk to this student, you know, they really made you excited to participate in our industry tracks or something. So use that and add more depth to your own essays. Make sure you proofread. The one thing that we get all the time is where people have tried to cut and paste the school name and sometimes it's left in there. So we're called all sorts of different things. Attention to detail is important. And there are things that, again, spell check is not going to catch or will make worse for you. So make sure you're proofreading it. You can certainly share your essay with a mentor or close friend that can also help you proofread because you may not catch something. And then, you know, there is no right answer. That's the thing. This is your path. This is your moment. We want to know about you. So use it to talk about you. Okay. So that's the essay. Again, schools are usually different in terms of what they're asking, but most of them are generally, you know, what is your career plan? Why are you interested in this program and what attracts you to Brandeis? If you're excited about a program, let that enthusiasm shine through. We want students who want us back, right? We know we'll be a good fit. So share that excitement and the enthusiasm. So as I mentioned, Brandeis does have a video essay component. Treat it like an interview, okay? We do interview our MBA applicants as well, but with our specialized masters, there are too many of you and too few of us applying. So this is your chance to interview. So dress for success. Be yourself. Show your personality. Be confident. All right. Again, the good thing is there are no right or wrong answers. There's nothing that you need to prepare in advance. We don't want you to be looking at notes and trying to read something. We want to hear your authentic response to the question that we're asking. One thing to keep in mind, choose a quiet place. You'd be surprised some of the situations and backgrounds and things we've seen. Students in the past have conducted it in a hallway and then you see other people walking by. It's distracting. We want you to be the star of the video essay. So again, choose a quiet place, be mindful of your background as we may find, you know, your taste in art fun, but you again want the attention on you. So use a background that's professional. And again, use it as a way to show you who you are. Again, we're not now looking at paper, we're not looking at a resume, we're not looking at an academic GPA. It's your chance to make a connection with us virtually. So use it because again, the more we feel connected to you and remember your name throughout the entire process, the better chance of admission and scholarship. Because again, the more you engage with us, the better you're going to be remembered. You're going to be at the front of mind, which is a good thing to be. All right, that resume. So I know you've all created a resume before, and I know there won't be a lot to talk about on this, but with your resume, there are some key things that you want to make sure that you're adding on there. So of course, we want to see your professional experience. Now, some of you may be working, some of you may have only had internships. Regardless of where you are in your career, we want to see some sort of professional experience, right? So our specialized masters don't require work experience, but 100% of our students coming into the program have had some type of internship experience. You're going to want that experience to help clarify your career goals, but also, again, you're going to need a letter of recommendation from a professional employer. So that's important. Our MBA program, we do recommend at least about 2 years of professional experience. So you want to highlight that professional experience on your resume. You also want to highlight any leadership or extracurricular activities. You want to try to be as well-rounded, but not as possible, but not to the detriment of your academics, right? So if you're still an undergrad, you want to get engaged in activities outside the classroom. Because as I mentioned, we're looking for students who want to be engaged in our community. We're looking for students who we may think are going to stand up and take leadership roles on campus, right? So we're going to look for evidence of that in your resume. And again, the more rounded you can be, the better. But don't spread yourself too thin that your academics are suffering, right? Because again, you want to show us that you can succeed in our program. So I know it's hard, but this is the holistic review process for admissions. But you want to have that nice combination of strong academics, some experience, whether that's internships or full-time experience, leadership or extracurricular activities. And then you can also, of course, highlight any technical skills that you have. All right. And one of the other final pieces of the application process is those recommendation letters. So for us, choose people who know you best. We are not impressed by titles or statures. We don't care if they're the CEO of a company. We would rather see an authentic letter from someone who truly knows you well. And that will be clear because the more they know you, the more they can add to your letter so it stands out, right? We're going to look at your academic transcripts. We don't want to see an academic recommendation that only says, he or she received an A in my course. That doesn't add much value for you and for us. So we can see that already on your transcript. So you instead want to meet with somebody who you have a strong relationship with. If you've left undergrad and you've severed ties, try to reconnect with some faculty. Or if you're in undergrad now, reach out, get to know some of your faculty members so that they can write a stronger letter. You want to meet with them prior to submission of the letter. And this is really important because the more you can share with them about your resume and your background, about your career goals and why you are applying to the program, the more depth they're going to be able to add to the letter. So for us, again, it's going to stand out over someone that just, says, they got an A in the class, they can succeed in your program. But if they're telling me that you led a group project in class, that, you're organized, and then they give me examples, all of the things that they can tell me is really going to help you stand out again in both the admissions and the scholarship process. A professional recommendation letter as well, try to choose a supervisor, someone who knows the contributions that you've made on a day-to-day basis, the skills that you're using, any impact that you've made with the organization. Again, it doesn't have to be the CEO. If they don't know you well, a direct supervisor is great. A colleague is fine. I would probably, if you're a manager, I'd probably stay away from using a subordinate because you don't want to put them in an awkward position. But most of our programs do require one academic and one professional. And our MBA program, we do ask you to submit 2 professional recommendations. Again, you might be worried, what if I can't find an academic one and a professional? You can submit 2 professional if you honestly can't do an academic one. Again, it's not going to impact you, but we really want to follow directions for what schools are looking for, and you want to try to deliver. But again, certainly you can reach out and ask different schools if you absolutely can't find that and you want to use 2 professional, just ask them. It doesn't hurt to see what they say. So, choose wisely. The other tip that I'm going to give you is when a lot of students are ready to hit submit on their application, they're often waiting for those recommenders. So, do this early. You can go into many applications and put in the contact information for your recommenders so that you're not waiting and getting stressed because they haven't submitted. Put them in early, give them enough time to be able to do a good job. So let me stop here because I know I want to leave time to answer your questions. What I wanted to say, again, remember the whole process is holistic. You want to put time and attention into all the areas, but if you have strong areas, they will help offset weaknesses. But to make you stand out in this application and scholarship process, add a little more, add a little depth to your essays, get to know the team, show your love for the program. All of these little things make a difference.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Christine. Thanks for doing that. We do have a lot of questions coming around 22. That's why I didn't want to interfere in between your presentation and jump to the questions. So I'm going to take up as many questions as possible. We still have 15-20 minutes to go, so we can answer as many questions in this time as, we'll try to answer as many questions that we can. But before I go to the questions, right, let me quickly run our second poll for the evening, which is going live on your screen right now. The question is, have you already applied or are you applying to business master's programs this year? By business master's programs, it could be specialized master's programs like Masters in Business Analytics, Masters in Finance, Masters in Marketing, Masters in Management, or it could also be MBA programs in case there are some which accept applications without Vertex, or if you've already applied to an MBA program in India or anywhere else, you can also select that as your first option. So do let us know if you're looking to apply to business master's programs this year, or are you yet to make up your mind and looking and evaluating applying next year or the year after? Great. So I do have some responses come in. In fact, I have around 85 responses come in. So that's a really high response rate. I'm going to keep this poll open for another 10 to 15 seconds. So if you haven't responded, please do respond. Let us know if you're applying to business master's programs this year or if you're not. Great. So I have around 90 responses. I'm going to end this poll now and show the results right on the screen right away. So only one has already applied in round one this year. There are around 34% who are looking to apply soon. So they're looking to apply later this year or early next year. There are 59 or 65% who are yet to make up their minds. So these are possibly early starters preparing for the application in 2023 or 2024. So great. Thanks for sharing those insights. Now let us jump to the questions. We did have a number of questions come in. I tried answering a few already, the generic ones, but let me start with the most upvoted questions, right? Now, the two most upvoted questions on the screen in front of me are by Amol, who's asking, firstly, does his chances of admission decrease if he had a 2-year gap between his high school and bachelor? So basically, Christine, what he's done is he finished his class 12, then he had a 2-year gap before starting his bachelor's education. So does that impact his admission chances for a master's program?
Sure, that's a great question. No, I wouldn't say that would at all. That would be something that you could play on and talk about how it makes you different. Explain to the committee, we're all human, right? We have imaginations. So if you don't explain things in your application, we're going to wonder. So share some of those things and talk about why you did that. Maybe it was a decision where you weren't quite ready and you wanted to gain work experience. Share those details if they're appropriate. And, if not, that's certainly not going to impact it as long as you then went to undergrad, you performed well, and you have a strong admissions application.
Perfect. So Christine, in India, many people do take that break to prepare for engineering entrance exams or medical entrance exams. And Amol, if I may add on to what Christine said, show that you're productively engaged. You're doing something which added to you or help you become a better person, evolve as a person. It could be travel, it could be taking some courses, it could be preparing for some admission tests. So let the admissions committee know what you did and how that time helped you, how taking that time off helped you. And I think that's good enough to go. Great. So I'm going to continue. And this second question is again by Amol, which is again a highly rated, highly upvoted question. Post his bachelor's education, he's taken 2 years to get some work experience. So he was basically working during those 2 years. Now, having that 2 years of work ex helped him gain an edge while applying to master's programs. Or if I may add to that question, should he be looking at MBA programs where he may be below the average work ex?
Sure, it's a good question. So that's that hard piece, right? When I said, how do you differentiate and find which program is the right fit for you? So if you have 2 years of experience, I would say you're certainly not at a detriment to applying to a specialized master's. I will say most of the students, like I said, are coming straight from undergrad, so you would be a more experienced member of the classroom. But I would say on average, some of the students do have between 1 and 2 years of work experience. And for them, it helped them clarify their goals so that they know that specialized master's is the right fit. If you are, undecided between the programs, again, focus on what that end career goal is. The MBA is always an option, but do you want all of those different courses, or do you want something that is shorter in length, that's, typically a little less expensive and specialized in a particular area? It's really going to depend on you, but I would say with some work experience, you're qualified for any of the programs. You're going to be learning as much from your classmates as you are from the faculty, so they would look to you as someone who would be able to share your experience in working for 2 years, where they would just be sharing some internship experience. So you would probably be a highly sought after member of the class.
So Mole, it seems you do have an advantage, make a great application, show how those 2 years added value to you and what you have learned from that experience, showcase that knowledge, and possibly that knowledge can give you an edge. So great. Okay, the next question I'm going to take is from Aditya Maini, who is asking, is it better to do an MBA after doing a specialized master's in his field of study, or does it make no difference if he directly goes in for an MBA without doing a specialized master's? So his question, if I may rephrase that, he's asking whether it's worth doing a specialized master's before going in for the MBA, or should he directly just target the MBA program?
Yeah, that's a good question. Again, it's a tough one. It's really what's going to be more beneficial for you. Depending on your career goals, some people will just do one of the degrees. Some will do both. Some schools offer that nice dual degree, so you can actually do both in the shorter amount of time, so it's less expensive for you, and you go away with 2 degrees, which might, again, set you apart from the rest of this, people looking for these ideal jobs. It's really, again, we've seen it either way. It's what are you ready for? What programming do you need? Which courses are going to benefit you in the long run? Again, do you want to lead that business, or do you want to simply work and do the data analytics? So it's looking at what type of courses you may need. But you could certainly, again, as I mentioned, most schools will let you apply to a program and then meet with a career advisor and sort of refine your plan. You could apply to a dual degree at that time.
Great. All right. So, Christine, I have this next question from Samyak, who's asking about the work-ex requirement for an MBA program. If I may ask this, what's the average at Brandeis? What's the average work-ex for the MBA cohort at Brandeis?
Sure. So the average work experience for the MBA is usually around 4 years. We recommend at least 2. The MBA students are always typically a little older and more experienced than our specialized masters. But again, there's always a wide range. We have students who are straight out of undergrad that have had unique entrepreneurial opportunities in the MBA program. They're more rare. And then we have people that have been working for 10 plus years. So it's a nice mix, but about 4 years is typically the average. All
right. And his question is, how does work experience help in an MBA cohort? So you have master's cohorts which start. So in India, it's very different. In India, a lot of MBA programs admit candidates without work experience. So I think this is coming from that viewpoint. How does having work experience prior to an MBA help during the studies?
Sure. So as I just actually mentioned a minute ago, you're learning as much from your classmates as you are from the faculty. So when we put together a really diverse MBA program, you're learning from those classmates who may have had, 10 years experience in operations where somebody else may have been in marketing. So hearing their perspectives in different organizations and different companies is really helpful in the classroom. And then plus it aids in all of the experiential learning for, these consulting projects, team projects. So your experience that you're bringing in, you're going to get more from the MBA program versus if you started an MBA program without work experience, you have nothing to draw on. So when you're talking about cases and you're doing these considerations of what you would do, you have your own experience to draw on plus the experience of your classmates.
All right, that makes sense. And All right, let me take this next question. This is from Bhargav Madhav, who's asking if his chances of getting into B schools and getting a good placement or good employment opportunities get affected if he has a tech bachelor's rather than an economics bachelor's. So I'm not sure, Bhargav, if you're asking would it get affected positively or negatively. I'm assuming he's meaning positively. So does having a tech bachelor's help compared to having a economics bachelor's?
Sure. I would say, they're both beneficial. There's no particular background we're looking for. And I will say any school wants a diverse student population. So if everybody had an economics background, you wouldn't have a lot of unique insight in the classroom. So if you have a tech background and you're coming into the program, that's fantastic. As long as you've taken the prerequisite courses that you need for particular programs and you've shown that you can handle the coursework. Oh, absolutely. We've had students that have come in with humanities backgrounds, English majors, language majors. It makes for a rich learning environment. So any background is a strength as long as you can show us why you want the degree and what value it's going to add. Again, if you don't have any internship experience to know that this is what you want to do, you haven't been able to communicate that in your essay, we might say, do they really know what they're getting into? But otherwise, you can have had any major and any background.
Great. So if I may add on to that, Bhargav, look at pursuing your passion. So just don't choose a bachelor's degree just because thinking that, hey, this may be more beneficial compared to the other. Look at pursuing a degree which you enjoy or which you think you'd learn the most from or you're most passionate about. Make yourself competent, make yourself capable. And I think that's going to be the biggest advantage. There's this Indian movie called 3 Idiots, came back a decade ago, which says, become capable and not worry about the salary or the marks, but get the learning. So I think it's the same thing I'm going to communicate over here. I think it would connect with the audience. Try to become as competent, as capable as you can. Learn the most out of your bachelor's degree, whichever course it is. And I think that's going to be your biggest advantage.
Absolutely. If you major in something you're passionate about, you're going to be more successful academically. And that's what's going to be most important later on. A bachelor's degree is usually your time to be able to explore many different things. So take that time, take different courses, get out of your comfort zone. And then later, you can do a master's or an MBA program to really focus in on those particular passions and skills you need.
Great. Christine, the next question I have is from Bernard D'Souza. He's asking, having an Indian professional degree, like say a chartered accountancy or a chartered management accountant, CMA, does that give him an advantage while applying for admissions and for scholarships?
Yeah, so any advanced credential on your resume, again, is going to help you stand out in terms of the pool. Now, everyone doesn't have to rush out and try to do that, but that's something that you can say, I've taken the time, I have this credential, it's a value for me. We're going to see that. And we're going to say, okay, that's something that makes you stand out in the pool. So yes, any sort of advanced credentials, any skills that a lot of people in the pool typically don't have, that's going to set you apart.
All right. And his follow-on question is around, he wants to actually build a career, finance, he wants to secure a finance function role in a manufacturing company if possible. And do you have any course recommendations for him? So I know Brandeis has a master's in finance. Does it possibly open up opportunities for candidates to look at finance roles in manufacturing companies? Or have there been cases where your manufacturing companies have recruited at Brandeis?
Yes, there certainly are. We have a mix of industries at all times. So, certainly the MSF degree sounds like that would probably be a really great fit for you. If you know that that's exactly the industry that you want to do, start looking start meeting with your career advisor early. What we're happy to do too is, if you want to talk to a member of our careers team, we're happy to introduce you and they can talk through specifics of, these are the types of companies that are recruiting here. These are the roles, and they can help see if that might be a good fit. But yeah, certainly, you'll see on the website, we have long lists of the different areas that students go into. Manufacturing is certainly one of them.
All right. So before I go to our next question, and we do have quite a few, I have 2 quick requests for the audience. One is if you can go through the questions list as well and upload the questions that you want to know answers to. This way I know which are the important questions and I can select the top most upvoted questions that way. Secondly, if you're looking for feedback specific to your profile, right, about your undergrad background, your career goals, your opportunities that you're exploring, instead of asking profile specific questions in front of everyone else, you can book a profile evaluation session with 𝐒𝐤𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 The registration link for that is in the chat window. That was my last post at 7:14 p.m. You can click on that link and book a slot for yourself as well. This way you can ask more profile-specific questions in that more personalized conversation rather than having irrelevant questions asked in front of everyone else. So just a quick request, upload the questions that you like. And for personalized questions, personalized feedback on your profile, please book a personal profile evaluation slot for Friday evening. Great. Now let me take up a question which was posted a while ago, but I think this may be specifically be relevant to the women audience who are attending this session. This is around the Forte Fellowship. How useful are these fellowships? I know they do have a monetary grant, so there's some money some money grant which is given along with the fellowship. But I think there's more to the fellowship than just the money, right? There's a networking, there are some opportunities around that. So, Christine, any insights around the Forte Fellowship?
Sure. So it's exactly what you touched on. It's a scholarship, but there's also, yes, mentorship availabilities. There's special programming just for females in business school. Brandeis has its own scholarship as well. So again, like I mentioned with scholarships, you don't have to look and say, this one applies to me, this one doesn't. We're going to consider all of it when we look at offering scholarships. But yes, as for female, there's a lot of great resources with, Forte, but then in most business schools, there's usually a women in leadership club group, women in finance. There's, great emphasis on that because we realize that we're usually in the minority here. So great resources and networks for most of those programs.
All right, great. Christine, this was a question which had come in a while ago, and we do have a fair number of attendees dialing in from the African continent. We also have geography-specific scholarships, so anything that's reserved for candidates applying from Asia or India, and anything that's specifically reserved for candidates applying from the African continent?
So we do. We actually have specific scholarships that are given from different parts of the world. Because I mentioned when we're, sitting with all of our applications, we are trying to create a really diverse culture, a diverse environment, because again, you're going to learn from each other. It makes it really fantastic for everyone involved. So we do have different scholarships based on where you're applying from. But again, we even have like a generic, what's called a Dean Scholarship, where if you're a strong candidate, doesn't matter what your scholarship's called, we're going to award you that scholarship. So I would say one thing that I didn't mention earlier throughout the presentation, and I'm sure most of you are aware, but when you're applying to business school and for scholarships, we recommend you typically apply within the first two, even the third round. The sooner you apply, the more money we have in the pool because we haven't started awarding scholarships. So with that said, don't rush to submit an application. You want to make sure that you have everything ready because you have the one chance to submit a strong application. So take your time, but typically, with most schools, first, second, or third round, we have the most scholarship dollars to give. If you're applying later rounds, we just don't have as much to give away at that time.
All right, great. And Christine, if you don't mind sharing, when is the round one deadline for Brandeis programs? When are the round two deadlines? What should be the timelines that the candidates should be targeting?
Yeah, so we have our first deadline on November 1st. Our application is actually not open yet. It'll be opening at the end of this week on September 8th. So you can be on the lookout for that. So I'd recommend, yes, we have a November 1st deadline or a January 15th deadline. So either of those two would be ideal. And in the meantime, there's plenty of opportunities if you want to connect with us or connect with any of our current students. We have events posted on the website as well.
All right. And I see this question had come in. So around scholarships, does Brandeis also offer full scholarships to anyone?
We do. So our scholarships range from $5,000 to full tuition. They're rare, I will say. We don't have a lot of full tuition scholarships, of course, but we certainly do have some. So Fingers crossed for all of you.
Awesome, great. So if you are looking to apply to Brandeis, a reminder, November 1st is the first deadline, Jan 15th is the second deadline. Apply sooner. It improves your chances of getting an admission. It also improves your chances of securing a scholarship. As you can think about it, right? There's a limited kitty, and if the admissions committee finds candidates who are really good very upfront, very early in the cycle, then the kitty gets reduced, and then the chances of getting a scholarship later on reduces. So to improve your chances, do apply as soon as you can. Of course, make a great application. The application for Brandeis is going live in 2 days. So it goes live on Thursday end of day, possibly, or Friday over here. So start soon, submit your application soon, and that will improve your chances of getting a scholarship as well. Great. We are already over time, but I do want to take one or two last questions. I think I've already touched upon scholarships. I've already spoken about getting an admission, but let me ask about career opportunities, right? I think careers is important. I know you're close to Boston. So by the way, to the audience, those of you who have not been to Boston, it's a beautiful, beautiful city. I've had the fortune of visiting. It's amazing to be there. It's a student city, lots and lots of students around over there. So it's a very vibrant environment, very beautiful city. So surely do look forward to studying at Brandeis and enjoy the Boston environment as well. But coming to career prospects, right? So Boston is roughly 3 hours drive from New York. So you do get advantage of that proximity to New York as a commercial capital. Boston itself has a lot of companies, a lot of industries. If you can throw some light on what kind of career opportunities do Brandeis graduates get, what kind of companies recruit at Brandeis, and anything around that. So, careers become very important as a parameter for our audience. So anything around careers.
Absolutely. And they should be. There are a lot of great companies in and around Boston and then beyond. The one thing about studying at Brandeis doesn't mean you have to stay in the Boston area afterwards, right? We have opportunities both all over the United States and then internationally, because we have all of our alumni to rely on. Doesn't mean they had to have gone to the International Business School. Maybe they were an undergraduate student, but they stay connected to Brandeis. And, they may be working in Seattle or Hong Kong. So the opportunities are there. You don't have to limit yourself to where you went to school. But in the Boston area, there's a lot of great companies. We have, of course, finance. And as you mentioned, the close proximity to New York. Some of the top employers are for finance companies. We have students that are at Deloitte for consulting. We have students that have gone to work for Amazon. Marketing firms, we have pharmaceutical companies. So you may be thinking analytics, but have you ever considered healthcare analytics? That's something that's new and emerging in the Boston area because of all of our healthcare companies and hospitals that we have. So the opportunities are really there, and they don't have to be within Boston, but there's a lot of great employers. I think of, as I mentioned, Raytheon is right here near campus. BlackRock has been recruiting our students. E&Y goes on and on. So whatever you're interested in, they'll help you create a plan to find a particular organization or industry to meet it.
Awesome, great. With that, I know there are some 29 unanswered questions. There are just quite a few. My apologies that we'll not be able to take all of them. A lot of the queries that you're asking are around your profile, which are specific to what you're looking to do or what you have done so far, and feedback around that. So my request to you would be to book a profile evaluation slot for Friday. This would give you an opportunity to ask specific questions around your profile to Kelly, who is Christine's colleague, who is the assistant dean at Brandeis, and she would be able to answer or give you specific feedback on your profile as well. So do book that profile evaluation slot. Unfortunately, we'll not be able to take more questions. If we keep going like this, we'll be here till 12 a.m. India time or another 3 hours from now. So let us not do that. But Christine, let me wrap up this session now with one last question, which is around language testing, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of schools in the US offer TOEFL or IELTS waivers to Indian candidates or the applicants who have completed their undergrad education in English, where the language of instruction was English. Does Brandeis also offer that?
We do. So as part of our application process, it will ask you a few questions about where you've studied and what was the language of instruction. So yes, you may not have to take it, which is always nice. We do offer exceptions. That's certainly something you can ask in the appointments on Friday. But if there's any question about it, feel free to reach out to us. Global admissions at brandeis.edu. We're happy to tell you yes or no, because I know it's a lot to prepare for a TOEFL or IELTS exam.
All right, I'm just going to type that email address in the chat window. So if you want to reach out, do reach out to.
Oh, sure. I'll share again. I have it right here, so you don't have to.
Awesome. So great. So for any questions, do write to globaladmissions@brandeis.edu. You can also send your profile, your transcripts, other information, and get feedback directly from the admissions team about your eligibility and whether you meet the criteria or any waivers that are applicable to you. So make the most of this opportunity. And yeah, as I said, if you're looking for specific feedback on your profile, you can also get that from Kelly, who is the assistant dean at Brandeis, by booking a slot for Friday evening. So please do that if you're looking for those insights. With that, let me wrap up this session. Thank you, Christine. Thank you for doing this interaction. It's been extremely insightful. We still have 100+ people in the audience, so that's a testament to how relevant the information has been. So thank you for doing this. Also, thank you to the audience for being such a patient audience. We went a little longer than expected, but thank you for being a patient audience and sticking with us. And with that, let me wrap it up and have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you all. Take care.
Thanks, Christine. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, you too. Bye-bye.